Craig, my friend, thank you so much for being on the show. As we were prepping to click on record, we were talking about all the content we've done over
Yeah.
the years, and I got to say that of course you're the famous funaholic. You're really doing, I think, influencer marketing within B2B SaaS before everyone else was. It seems like now it's a thing,
Yeah,
right?
true.
And
I'm the OG creator in the B2B go-to-market.
you are. It seems like now it's just kind of a thing where like everybody's got some influencer, social sort of strategy. But I think like when first of all, yes, you're OG, but also like it's something that came from a lot of experience. Like you've been doing it for such a long time. And I know that you were doing B2B media, right, for a while, and really was a pioneer in that. So I always got to give you some credit there, brother.
No, I appreciate it. By the way, one thing I'd say on that, I know this wasn't like, it was just the intro.
Sure.
One, clearly I have gray hair. So like, yeah, it was a while ago when I did that. But when you do these things, so like, let's say a podcast with you, or you're trying to write something on LinkedIn, or you're trying to put together a deck, those things crystallize your thoughts. So you're, like for years, you've just been out there learning things. And then this forcing function to have to come and be able to talk to it or present to it, this, man, like it allows you to put a framework around all the things that you're sort of seeing and learning out there. So at the end of the day, even though, I was doing those things, which were the, brand, self-brand building, and like for Topo, it was Topo brand building,
Mm-hmm.
The personalities really made a difference in the brand building there. But like, I was learning just as much. It was helping me be better at, my job and helping organizations on the go-to-market side. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's a good circle of life there.
Absolutely. Well, that resonates pretty deeply with me, just because as I've done these podcasts and created all this content over the years, absolutely, it's allowed me to stay on top of the pulse of what people were worried about, or the trends that were, top of mind, like giving me opportunity to like literally learn from some of the experts like yourself out there, just in a format that forced me to organize myself as well. So like, I think that's one of the things that worries me about AI, right? The fact that like specifically writing, using AI to actually write content, that will it take some of that critical thinking away, just based on how, like, at least I write content now, or to your point where you have to organize your thoughts and kind of play in the words, right, and shuffle things around, and you have to have a mastery, or you develop a mastery while you're writing a blog post on a topic. And if you can just write a prompt and it do it for you, I've noticed that I've actually tried it a couple of times. It's written some pretty solid like blog posts or whatever, but then I don't even know what the hell it wrote. I had to read it a couple of times and to get it. And as opposed to like when I've written it, laid each brick by myself, it's forced me to really have a command of the content. So I know that's sort of saying, well, you didn't get exercise before the horse and carriage, or you got exercise before the horse and carriage, and then when you got that in the car, you didn't get that component. And maybe that's true, but I don't know. That's one thing that's come up for me around AI. I was just thinking about.
Well, interesting way to parlay what we're just talking about. Yeah, when you have to sort of truly internalize whatever media that you're creating that is designed to exemplify your expertise, let's say, as a definition there, or something, that might be a little over the top, but part of the process is how you learn about how you want to talk about it. And so I think that's true. Now, I would say though, on the AI side, like, so I still have AI take a shot, because I can learn a lot on ideas on how to present certain sentences. And like you, man, sometimes it's, I would never on like, I don't know, expertise branding stuff, I would never let it do it all for me. I agree. I mean, you got to take it in, you got to breathe it, feel it. iterate on it multiple times because it's got to be you. But I use it for landing page development. Man, thank God we don't have to write those things, man. I mean, you've been doing so many of these over the years. Oh my God. I let it take my first shot on sales SDR emails. It's so much better because it's close enough. Like it's getting better. There are things I wouldn't do it for, which I think you're bringing up, and then there's things that it's just been awesome for. But yeah, like I just did a deck on, so one of the guys that is working with me, a guy named Robert Kaler. I don't know if you know Robert. He's been with me for a long time, and we're just we've been listening to a lot of phone calls again, just trying to help sales teams and like figure out what's happening in the environment and figuring out what's happening with sales. And we came up with, there's like 6 or 7 things that we saw that everyone can improve. So just putting together that deck is like so amazing. Like in terms of just, it gives me an order of things. It gives me like a fast way to make recommendations so I can, give value off the top of my head. It's pretty amazing. So, I don't know. And I know not necessarily what you want to talk about, but it is a great topic.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know it's complex, and we'll see how it all shakes out. Certainly, it's us making progress in from a technology perspective and efficiency. So I know that a lot of people are sort of TBD on that. Real quick, if you were to think about kind of that transition that you've made, right? Like you went from, founder, serial entrepreneur, sold your business, or the latest one, Topo, congratulations on that, of course. And then now working at a VC firm. What is that kind of transition been like?
Yeah, I mean, thanks. It was a run, but remember, like at Topo, I was a co-founder, so there was the grind of the found. And the fact that you do everything along the way, but I was also the chief analyst. So like it was my team that helped sort of figure out how to help, created the research, collected the data, and then worked with customers. So that transition's been seamless as a result, because I did the same thing at Gartner, and now I'm here and I'm sort of building a team and working with the portfolio to help them across their go-to-market. So like that's pretty seamless. Now, in terms of what you're talking about, which is like, you and I were just talking about how like we get high off the founding process. It's like it's grueling and it's hard, and you don't know what the next day looks like. And but some of us just like it. So that's something why that's why I think you're asking me the question, man. Like, am I missing the game? But actually, I work with 50 plus some odd companies where they're going through that process. And so I think, it's been fun. Like I can sort of embrace their action and take it in. So I think it's been pretty seamless because I'm doing what I've always done. I'm taking from what I've learned. Are there times where I miss like, the intensity of the action? Yeah. But like I said, then I go do a call with the founder and they're freaking out or not freaking out, but like, trying to get to this next milestone. And, that's just awesome and invigorating. It's so, it's a little different, obviously, but it does actually incorporate the things that I was doing before, which makes it really worthwhile. Transition.
Cool. Well, speaking of founders, like what advice would you give founders from a go-to-market perspective? We all know it's been, a wild year, and I know you've seen a couple of these cycles in your career. Any sort of advice that you would give founders from a go-to-market perspective around getting through this period, sort of the light at the end of the tunnel, but also maybe some tactical stuff that you've seen has been helpful?
Yeah. So, it's a good question, right? I've seen some, just watching those that are navigating these turbulent waters really well. And I think we would all say, like in the life cycle of the pain we're going through right now, I think we're all in much better realization of, what's going on. Like there was a while there where it was like, no, guys, like there was a couple of years there where everything was so heady that like, you have to peel back from those decisions and sort of build the base again and rebuild back up. I think we're all on the same page there. So what you're asking is like, well, what works from a go-to-market perspective that people should be thinking about. What I've seen the organizations that are doing really well navigating. So it's like for years we talked about an ideal customer profile, and like account-based marketing was about, there was so many definitions and there was confusing messages about it. But at its core, it started with really good decisions on who you're going to spend time on and who you're going to sell to. And you got to make those bets as a founder. The solution's not to go necessarily to go wider unless there's not a lot of cost to it. Like the most important thing is to, it still can be a big market, but you gotta like make a really good decision on who you're going to sell to and what you're going to sell. So for example, I'm working with a company, they're doing, they did some narrowing on where they've traditionally been selling. And obviously right now they can't just survive on that one market. So they do need to, so they have two aspirational ideal customer profiles, but they made really good decisions about it. They took competitive technology, like a competitive technology stack that they felt like they complemented best. And that was sort of how they decided, their size of company, there were some other things that were really cool. But they're making really smart bets on who they're going to go market to and who they're going to go sell to. That is what I'm, like at its core, that's one of the really great things that I'm seeing happening out there. There's two other things that I think are really important. So, pipeline building, I think we're seeing this thing where it's like full cycle sales reps, everyone's talking about it and everyone's going, well, sales reps need to prospect. Well, you can't, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, you can't just say that anymore because the game's changed. It's hard. Prospecting is hard. And so you have to, as a company, have a methodology for how you do it so that you can all look at it together and figure out how you're going to be successful. And I don't care what you use. Like if you want to use, I just talked to Justin Michael, he's got this great, methodology, or we talked to John Barros or whoever, it's okay. But like everyone should be doing something similar because you're going to have to figure it out together. You can't just say, well, why aren't the sales reps prospecting? But everyone needs to be on pipeline alert.
Quick question. What do you say to those folks who are saying like outbound doesn't work anymore, right? Like I don't even know how we can say that, but it's been talked about and you shouldn't have SDRs anymore.
Yeah. I allow people to start that conversation and I ask them, well, how are you going to build pipeline? I mean, it's like PLG. You and I both love PLG, man. But like, it's not if you build it, they will come thing. Like everyone's doing some form of like outbound, and it's the decision on what go-to-market's going to work for you is based on your market. So like if someone comes to me and say, well, we're going to kill SDRs, many people are pulling back on SDRs. And outbound is dead. I'm like, great, but like, what are you going to do? It's one thing to say something like that. It's another thing to figure out how you're going to drive pipeline. Now, look, man, between me and you, because you and I have been in this game a long time, outbound is harder than it was before. I mean, It's very hard. You have to deal with like literally like laws of very diminished, like the most diminished returns. I mean, it's really hard. But that's actually more of a reason to actually finally try to get better at it. Because we talked, everyone picked up best practice and tips here. It's just a matter of choosing the right company and choosing the right message. The other thing, though, is, if you have the budget to do it, I know most founders say, well, I don't, but like the other thing you can learn from account-based is, look, if you are doing outbound, it can't be the actual human going after them alone. An account-based rule is like you would basically drive air cover through advertising. You would focus, it's so funny when we were first doing account-based at Topo and talking to people, it'd be like, well, look, guys, how about this? Can we just invite the same people that we're prospecting to the webinars instead of a completely different list? So like, it doesn't, so I mean, look, pure outbound is really hard and like, you're going to get small numbers, but you still have to do it. It's better if you do combo outbound and like, hit them with ads and or hit them with wherever they are. Like, you had Scott Albert on the show. He's just doing a great job of just writing on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And he's building a community of folks that he'll be able to sell to as a result. So there's ways to do it without spending money, just like, doing content like this and, highly targeted stuff. But you do need both activities to be happening for outbound to actually be effective. Or if you want, I know a lot of people want to put a twist on it, not call that outbound, right? Because, there's so many things happening, whatever you do, but like, you're still going to have to figure out who your targets are. You can't wait for them to come. So we're going to have to just do better in how we go talk to the market and reach out to them. And we should do it in a multi-channel way. It's proven. The multi-channel stuff still works. But yeah, your conversion rates are going to be tough. I love people that whip out conversion rates from like 2021, where it's like you could just send 100 emails, you get like 20 returns. It's like, those days are over. So let's just like reestablish ourselves against new benchmarks that are a little bit tougher, but we still have to do it. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You have to do it. Right. And that, by the way, that was going to be my third thing. It has been a wonder watching some of the founders work LinkedIn. They're doing I'm going to ask you because you're my boy on social, man. I haven't asked you this in a while, but like, we talked about Scott, like Sam Jacobs does an amazing job on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Gosh, that guy from Catalyst, the CEO there, he's writing these really long, really, sometimes controversial, but like it's become
the two brothers.
Medium for getting out there. And so, that's something that doesn't cost money. It's time, it's resources, but like if I'm a founder, I want to get out there. We all know everyone's on LinkedIn. I know someone's going to say, well, there's a lot of noise there. Well, that's why you got to write good stuff, right? I'm pointing to people that actually write stuff I can't wait to read. And that's the place to do it. Twitter's or X or whatever, that's not for B2B, but like, but LinkedIn it's quite good. So that, like just to think of really tactical things you can go do right now to meet the market where they are, just that work that we're seeing other founders do on LinkedIn has been incredible.
Absolutely. Definitely LinkedIn has been, it's where our market lives and has been really super effective. I think like, we were preaching being on LinkedIn years ago, right? 10 years ago. And it's exciting to see it finally catch up. I think there are so many organizations that are making a ton of money by doing this social selling. You remember Coca Sexton and Coca, my boy over there. Shout out to Coca. Because like, I think Coca was the first time that, or first person that really categorize that whole social selling thing, right? He had the social selling handles on Twitter and was talking a lot about it. And I think that if you think about what that actually means now, I think it's all this influencer marketing stuff, thought leadership stuff, things like that, all the content you talked about Scott doing on LinkedIn and the Catalyst brothers and so many. And so there's definitely a lot of money to be made. I think like being able to mix content, have you like literally an influencer content strategy for the stakeholders within your company, employee advocacy that could also be looked at from that perspective too, right? Like I think everyone at your company has to be active on LinkedIn, right? They have to have some sort of strategy. It's not easy. And I think a lot of organizations might aspire to do it. They sort of, toy with it, and then they lose sight maybe when, or it fizzles when they realize that it's hard and you have to dedicate yourself just like every channel, right? You got to do it right. But the organizations that have spent the time investing in it, and get it and took the risk early on to adopt it, I think they're really reaping the benefits. I mean, our boy Manny over at Outreach has been, really doing it super well as well. So
he's good stuff too. Yeah, I mean it's been amazing. By the way, LinkedIn, Snoop Dogg's on LinkedIn now. So after all your years of hard work, George, now we finally got Snoop Dogg. He's active, or
he is active. I see him.
He's making it happen, man.
Absolutely. Well, he's got a couple businesses, right, going on. Are there any sort of like opinions that you have around, from a go-to-market perspective, how AI is going to impact really, right, from someone like yourself who's seen so many trends over the years, how's it really going to impact our go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, AI is a moving target. Like literally, whatever George we talk about today, by tomorrow there'll be a new level of sophistication and or innovation, or actually maybe by the night after we release. And so it's a moving target. I think. Look, in the go-to-market, well, I'll give you an example of how fast it's moving and where we are. Uh, you know, I was preparing for something at OpStars with my buddy Kern Singh. We went and talked to like maybe it was an analyst or someone who's big in the AI space for go-to-market. And we're like, okay, well, like if we're going to be practical, we should tell everyone, well, you should start by having Gen AI write your initial emails. And he's like, that's gone. That's like table stakes. And I'm like, holy crap, it is. So like there are things that are now considered less risky that are already in the tool set. Prioritization of contacts, leads, et cetera, makes total sense. And initial email writing. Those things are in play and are happening now. So we've already got step one, George. But here's the deal is like what we're seeing right now is like every part of the go-to-market, all the different categories that exist in the go-to-market are going to get disrupted. They are because, there's just fresh new ideas and AI is helping sort of drive that. And then the big one for me that I'm most excited. So as I think about things, so one is I am excited about productivity gains for salespeople using AI. It's it's a really good way to do it. And, keeping them, I saw Bobby Napoltonia. I don't know if you know him, but like last night, he's like, we started with no software at Salesforce. Now it's no apps, right? You're just going to get everything where you want it. And, AI is going to help do that. That will be huge for salespeople. Like if I went to a sales team and said, you guys have an announcement, you're not going to have to log it into CRM anymore. They would just I'm pretty sure I would be carried off on their shoulders. So that's that's on the productivity side, but like the RevOps productivity side, you're talking a lot about for them, like a RevOps organization today, they have big hopes for hiring these amazingly smart people that are running around creating reports at 11 at night and putting out fires all the time instead of being strategic. And I think the next layer of, tech is proving that it will allow for and, enable RevOps people to be more strategic and to be true partners in the organization. So I know there's a lot of AI haters. There's also a lot of AI people that are way over the top. I'm in the middle, right? I know that I know the things it can do. I've already seen the baseline here and it's great. Just being able to, I'm much better editor than I am a starter. So if someone wants to write the initial messaging for me, I'll do that. That's going now. And we're just going to keep chipping away at it I guarantee every couple months. So I don't know if you were setting me up to see I had any negativity on it. Look, we're committed in our firm, man. It's like AI is here and sure, it's like got a lot of hype and it's hard to understand what it is, but certainly in the go-to-market, you can see the possibilities and we're seeing some of them come to life already, which is really cool.
No, I mean, we're also investing in AI. I mean, it's something that's super important. We can't just build a content creation tool that doesn't have an AI angle. I think, we have been, to your point, like the Gen AI for writing copy and those sort of things. It's the baseline now, right? Like any system that doesn't have that. I think it's probably more true for mid-market enterprise organizations. Any system that doesn't have that, they're not going to really I think they're going to invest in the tool that has that as a sort of baseline, right? And so we've been thinking a lot about it from a productivity perspective. How do we, for example, be able to create an AI-powered bot that will allow you to have an assistant. Like, I think that's one of the things that I think Scott's been working on, right? Like, how do you have that, technology assist the human, right? And so we've been thinking a lot about that from a product marketing perspective, right? Like, why go backwards when the technology is there, and that's the future, right? So I'm totally bullish on it. I was more thinking earlier about the human kind of repercussions to these, to our creativity and thinking and that sort of stuff. But that's probably me over analyzing it a bit.
Well, I mean, look, the way you should think about it is this wasn't for me. I was on a panel the other day, and the guy said, look, the key is let's use AI to get rid of, like, to free up space so you can be creative. Because actually you won't win deal. Like, an AI bot would not win a deal right now. It's hard out there, right? One of the things that's happening in, let's say, in SaaS, where you and I live, is you don't just compete with your category, you compete with everyone in the cloud. And now you compete with the priorities of the organization. That requires creativity, and it requires a person. But it's hard to do that today. And so, like, can we use AI to free up for creativity? So that should give you hope. That's one. And then the other thing people talk about, the other human repercussions, like, of hiring, like, I actually think we should view AI as a bet where we can raise the number for reps. And, can we get 50% more quota out of them? And the answer will be yes, depending on your deal size. And I think that's how we should look at it, less of, because look, we've always lost 30% of the sales force every year if you're good. And, like, we've always had, 40 to sometimes 60% of the reps not hitting their number. So there's always going to be room for improvement there. And we've always had sort of, I'm not going to call it waste, but, like, areas of optimization. And so you could see that, like, tech as an enabler, if it can just help raise either of those numbers, like, then, we're in good shape, and it'll be human centric at the end of the day, at least in the near term. Like, we're going to enable humans to do their thing, and that's pretty cool. Certainly in the sales process.
Awesome. Craig, my brother, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your wisdom and just being a good friend over the years. I've called you, on the phone, and you've hopped on it to get your wisdom and advice at many different times of my life over the last decade. And I really appreciate you just being supportive as a friend, as an entrepreneur, as a mentor. So very much appreciate that. If folks wanted to connect with you on social media, maybe, follow your content, or maybe get some advice, what are the best channels to reach you?
Oh my goodness. That's hard these days, right? I used to just say follow @Funnelholic on X or Twitter, but that's not as good. We talked about LinkedIn. I don't know, man. It's going to be hard if I don't know you. If you try to connect with me, maybe you write a good message and say, actually, you know what? If they say they heard me on George's show, then I think we can.
All right, there we go.
Figure something out.
Awesome. Well, have a great afternoon. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you soon, brother.
All right, man. Love it. Thank you.